Hi everyone, and welcome to the first Western Australian Tertiary Scholarship and Access Expo. Before we start, I just wanted to acknowledge the country that I'm on today. Usually I'm on Noongar Budja, but I am currently stuck in Sydney due to COVID. So here I am. I'm situated here on the traditional land of the Wallumattagal clan of the Darug Nation, whose cultures and customs I have nurtured and continued to nurture this land since the dream time. And I pay my respects to their elders past, present and future. So thank you. And I just wanted to, my name's Lisa Hartley. I'll be facilitating today's forum. I'm the co-director of the Centre for Human Rights Education. I'm also the co-chair of the Refugee Special Interest Group. The Centre for Human Rights Education is an advocacy, teaching and research centre focusing on a range of human rights issues. And the Special Interest Group, the Refugee Special Interest Group, or RESIG, is actually an Australian network of people from the community, higher education, vocational education and school sectors who have real interest in supporting educational opportunities for people from refugee backgrounds or students from refugee backgrounds in higher education. So RESIG is a really wonderful group to be part of, and we'll have more information and links to find out more about RESIG. But one of our main areas of work is really advocating for better educational opportunities for and outcomes for students from refugee backgrounds and other people from other forced migration backgrounds. And so today's event is specifically focusing on people who are from refugee and asylum seeking backgrounds who are living on temporary visas specifically. And so this is what this information session is about. And we'll be going through a couple of different opportunities at different institutions for people in this situation, going through some of the admission and scholarship processes. And we'll also be hearing from a student panel from 3 students or former students who have studied who are on temporary visas and applied for these particular scholarships, and to share their experiences and hopefully share some insights. Well, they will share some really great insights about some of the challenges as well as some of the real exciting things that can be done. So there'll also be a Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions as we go along, please put them into chat. I think that's what we've figured out, Gindri. Just if you've got questions, you pop them into the chat in Zoom. And then at the end, hopefully we will have time to go through some of those. So that those questions can be directed at any of the people who are speaking from the institutions or student panelists as well. So we're really fortunate to have so many people come together today to talk about some of these opportunities. Just to start though, some of the housekeeping for today. We will be recording this session. So if you don't want your face shown, please just take your video off. Also, if you wouldn't like your full name, you can also change your name as well in your settings. If you're not talking, please press mute. I think everybody I can see there is on mute anyway, so that's great. So the session will be recorded. So at the end of this session, we will be sending the recording at some point in the future. We have everyone's email addresses. We'll be sending the recording as well. So other people who can't be here today to hear the information can also access the great information that will be coming out of today's event. So to start, I think that's all of the things I wanted to say with housekeeping. What we will do is just start with the institutions that are here today to talk about some of the application kind of processes and some of the scholarships that are available for people who are on temporary visas, for refugees and people from asylum seeking backgrounds on temporary visas. And we're going to be starting with Curtin. So I'd like to firstly introduce Begonia Sanchez, who I think is the recruitment, I hope I've got this right, Begonia, the regional recruitment manager, that will talk a little bit about Curtin, and then Carissa Hawes from scholarship office is a scholarship advisor. We'll talk through some of the scholarship information for people on temporary visas. So over to you, Begonia.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for inviting us to be here and talk to the students. As Lisa mentioned, I'm the regional recruitment manager at Curtin University, and we wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction about Curtin and what it will be like studying in there before we talk about the actual scholarship. So next slide, please. Yeah, just mentioning that Curtin is an innovative and global university. We have 5 campuses in different countries. 2 of them are here in Western Australia. We are also ranked in the top 1% of universities, and we are a really popular choice among domestic students. So 51% of the domestic market chooses to come to Curtin when they decide to study at the university. Something that is really unique about Curtin is the strong links that we have with the industry. So anything we do here is related to how you are going to be connected to industry, the way we teach, the way we develop our curriculums, and all the events that we do here as well. And also we are famous for some of our accreditations that I will talk about that a little bit later. I will share with you the virtual explorer as well that we have, so you can create your own avatar, and then you can navigate and walk around the campus. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we do have 4 different faculties: the Faculty of Business and Law, Health Sciences, Humanities, and Science and Engineering. And we offer a wide range of courses. So you can study at Curtin and choose courses from Bachelor of Commerce or Master of Commerce, but also law. You can do nursing, speech pathology, even sexology. We do have courses in journalism, arts, design, and we are really well known for science and engineering from bachelor's and master's. So you can study like really different things when you come and study at Curtin. The next one, please. Some of the highlights are the rankings that as I said, we are in the top 100 in the world for civil and structural engineering, really well ranked for earth and marine sciences and geology and other disciplines. We are also recognized internationally, and that's how we get our accreditations as well. So our courses are accredited by Engineers Australia, depending on the course, obviously. Also, we have the accreditation for Physiotherapy Board of Australia. For teaching, we also have for business, the EQUIS and ACS, which is the Australian Computer Society. And also we have accreditation for our architecture courses. As I said, extensive industry exposure and networking opportunities. When you come and study with us, you will have a lot of opportunities to connect with industry and study in great facilities and industry standard with industry standard equipment. So the picture that you have on the left is the engineering pavilion, for example. It's a teaching building for our students, for engineering students, but we do have other facilities like the Optus 5G lab, the trading room, and the agency for business students, an automated table for nursing and in general health sciences students, and also automated pharmacy, among others. And some information about the QUILT survey. 86% of Curtin graduates found full-time employment 4 months after graduation, the highest of Western Australia. And the last one, before we go to the scholarship, will be, Lisa, the next slide, please. Yeah, will be this is a picture and you can see the vibe here at Curtin. So some of the amenities that we have are a big stadium where you will be able to practice a lot of sports and join clubs. Also, we have access to the GP on campus. We do offer a variety of events and multicultural, multi-faith prayer and meditation facilities. So it's about studying, but also about the life and the experience that you will have here when you come to Curtin. And now, Carissa, I'm going to give pass to Carissa to talk about the scholarships that we have for you here at Curtin.
No worries. Thanks, Begonia. My name's Carissa. I'm a scholarships advisor here at Curtin. And yeah, here to talk to you today about a particular scholarship that we have for prospective students who are particularly from refugee-like backgrounds or who have a relative, who are a relative or dependent of someone who's actually experienced forced migration to Australia in a number of ways. So the name of the scholarship we do offer at Curtin is the Curtin Humanitarian Scholarship. So eligible courses are all undergraduate and postgraduate masters by coursework courses. Delighted to announce that we do have 4 allocations for 2023, which is an increase from 1 from 2022. So how do you know if you're eligible? Well, you just have to be an Australian citizen, New Zealand citizen, permanent humanitarian visa holder, or Australian permanent resident, or an international student with any of the visas below. You do have to be currently residing in Australia, and you do have to make an application to study at Curtin University for semester 1 2023 intake. As I said before, be from a refugee-like background or the relative or dependent of someone who has experienced forced migration. And you will be asked to provide a statement about details of your refugee background in your application as well. And you do also have to demonstrate financial hardship. So your application will be income tested, and we will look at aspects of your socioeconomics. So what does this scholarship offer? Well, it's 100% full fee paying. So that means all your tuition fees will be covered. You will be subject to student services and amenities fees, which is about $40 per unit. So you could be looking at about $180 per semester. That's the only thing this scholarship does not cover. And you do receive a $2,500 cash stipend per semester for the expected duration of your degree. So that's a full-time rate. It is adjusted if you are studying part-time. So the great thing about this scholarship as well is you can just be doing 25 credits, which is 1 unit. Curtin considers full-time as 75 credits, so you can ease into your course, with ease in transitioning between 75 to going from part-time to full-time. So what other support does this scholarship offer? Well, you do get general faculty support from course coordinators and student engagement staff. We do have the careers hub here at Curtin as well, so you can get help with your resume. They do help develop leadership skills, public speaking skills, and any career guidance that you'll need. There's also counselling services available on campus as well, and that is free for students. And particularly for international students, we do have a program called CHATS. So that's conversational help and support for English speaking, for English students. So you'll get a English speaking mentor, and you'll just have an hour or so chat with them. I believe it's every week, just to develop your English skills. Next slide, please, Lisa. So how do you apply for this scholarship? First things first, you do need to make an application to apply at, a course application at Curtin. And then you can actually submit your scholarship application by attaching evidence of your course application. The good thing about the scholarship application is you can save it at any point in time. So you can see what documents you're required to provide, save it, and then go back. You can submit your course application at a later date, get that evidence and documentation, attach it to your scholarship application, and then submit from there. So there are a few types of documentation that you will be required to provide. So that's a copy of your course application, a copy of your current visa. And as I said before, we will look at your financials. So depending on your scholarship application answers, that could be your living arrangements or who pays for the majority of expenses. You may ask to provide a Centrelink statement or tax notice of assessment. That could be either for yourself, partner, or parent. It's just all dependent on what answers you submit in your scholarship application. So offers will be made mid-December, and you do have a bit of time to actually accept your offer. I believe course offers lapse a little bit earlier than the scholarship offer. So scholarship offers will usually lapse around early February. Currently applications are open, and they will be closing on the 18th of November. If you need assistance with your application during this time, you can email us at scholarships@curtin.edu.au, or you can give us a phone call via Curtin Connect. Yeah, that's me done. Just going to pass it over to the next presenter.
Thanks, Carissa and Begonia. Appreciate that. And great also of highlighting that there are obviously two processes. There is the application for the course and also the application for the scholarship, which can sometimes be confusing. So it's great to overview that. Thank you. Next up, we have the Murdoch University to talk. I believe Sadie is speaking first. Is that right? Yes. Hi, Sadie. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for passing it over to me, and I'll be touching on the Asylum Seeker and Refugee Scholarship that we offer here at Murdoch University. Pretty separate to Curtin, we have our admissions and our scholarship process separately. So when I've finished, I'll post over to Vicky to add any further comments about the admission process as well. So at Murdoch, we offer one scholarship a year for asylum seekers and refugee. To be eligible, you need to have the visa requirements that were mentioned before, so a temporary protection visa or a safe haven enterprise visa or any other protection visa at the time of your application. You do need to be residing in Australia and be currently seeking or have sought asylum in Australia to be eligible. What are we offering for our scholarship? So the award is a 100% fee waiver for the duration of your course. And additional to the fee waiver, there's a $5,000 annual living stipend per FTE pro rata. So if you're studying full time, it's $5,000 a year, and if you're studying at a part time, it's a pro rata rate to that. Additionally, we also offer the use of a Murdoch laptop to assist with your studies during the progression of your course. So, would you mind popping to the next slide, please? So, we haven't gone too much detail on this slide about the application process. We have links through there to go through to have a look at the application online, but essentially we are offering this award to both undergraduate and postgraduate students, and the scholarship is for the full duration of your course to support you all the way through. There's a few things similar to what we've touched on before about what entry requirements and documentation is required. So application form is required to be completed. We also have a personal statement that we will ask you to identify a couple of different assessment criteria. Additionally, we ask you to provide a copy of your visa at the time of your application, and any further statements or recommendations from schools or referee statements that can support your application along the way is also welcomed. In addition to the fee waiver, Murdoch also offers a waiver of the SAF, the Student Services and Amenities fees, which is approximately $160, $360 a year. So that's also waived as part of our award. So for Murdoch, we have applications for 2023 are not yet open, but they will be opening come October this year. We close applications around February, and then towards the closed and awarded in February in conjunction to the commencement of semester 1 2023, and then we start the disbursements in March after the census date. That is everything that I have to present to you, so I'll just open up to Vicky if there's anything additional she would like to mention on the admission process as general.
Thanks, Sadie. I'm Vicky. I'm the Manager of Admissions here at Murdoch. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you apply for admissions here at Murdoch, since it's a separate process to applying for the scholarship. So we have an admissions portal where you submit your application for entry into Murdoch. The best way to find it is to actually go onto the Murdoch website. I will actually send through some links to the different parts of our website so that it can get sent out after the expo, because we haven't actually done that. We've only provided information for the scholarships. But if you go onto our website and search up your course, or whichever course that you are looking at applying for, in that you'll find all the entry requirements that you need to be able to apply for that specific course. And there's also a section on how to apply. And in that section, it'll show you what documentation you need to supply with your application. So it's good to get your application in as early as possible. Applications for 2023 are currently open at the moment, and they will close closer to the semester. We haven't determined what our closing date is yet for applications, but that would probably be in January, February of next year. That's pretty much it. If we need any further, if you submit your application and we need any further documentation, we'll get an admissions officer, will contact you to request any specific information they need, and you'll receive an outcome via email. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. There's a few people posting in chat just for links. So all of the links in the PowerPoint slide will be sent just after this event. So you'll be able to access all of those links very shortly. Just wanted to quickly clarify, Sadie, and something probably to follow up on. Murdoch, Curtin's scholarship has changed to also include people on temporary visas from Ukraine and also Afghanistan who have come since the Taliban. So I just wanted to double check. It's maybe something we can kind of follow up on, because I had heard that Murdoch had opened up their scholarships for those particular people as well. But just for anyone who might be listening and wondering whether they might, their particular case, whether they might be eligible. So we'll follow up on that as well. Is that all right? Yep. Okay, great. Thanks, Sadie. And thanks, Vicky. Okay, so next up we have Thomas Davies from the University of Notre Dame, Australia. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Hello, everyone. My name's Tom, and I am the head of international admissions and recruitment here at the uni. So I'll talk to you about this particular scholarship we have, which is called the Vice Chancellor's Humanitarian Scholarship. Very similar to the other two that have just been mentioned, so not too much different in them, except I guess with us we have 10 scholarships to offer in any one academic year. Now that is dependent on who is already holding one of those scholarships, so it is dependent on the graduating cohort at the end of this year. So I believe probably we're going to be looking around 3 to 4 for next year, but that is subject to change. But the 10 is at the discretion of the Vice Chancellor, so we can have more than 10 if the Vice Chancellor decides that he wants us to have more students coming in. So I definitely encourage students to apply no matter what. Don't get disheartened if there's 10. There could be more. So we'll just see what happens, once the time comes. Just like everybody else, you can see the visa categories listed there. And just like Lisa was saying, we are updating our list to include Ukrainian and Afghanistani people who have got those new types of visas that have emerged in the past 12 months. So that's why the list is subject to change, because if your visa isn't listed there, don't worry, it probably will be listed by the end of the year. So that's something not to worry about. So the conditions of the scholarship are quite simple, really. The student has to hold a particular visa as listed above, or one of the ones that will be listed in the future. Have been offered a place or be enrolled as a student in an undergraduate bachelor program or our pathway program. So unfortunately, this doesn't cover postgraduate studies, but it only covers undergraduate studies or pathway studies. And it can be at our Fremantle campus or Sydney campus as well. The cost of the whole bursary is the entire degree is basically waived. The fees are waived. So there's no tuition fees payable to the university. That's all covered by the scholarship. And also the amenities fee is not applied to you as well. So it's quite good in that regard. Basically nothing to pay. In terms of support, We offer lots of support. Notre Dame's sort of famed for its student support. So there's the one-on-one international support. So with the international support team here at the university, and also can compromise of things like English bridging courses or academic support for English language proficiency. We have our careers service, student counselling service. We have our international student mentor program, which again is really cool. You get mentored up with a student in a course that you're doing, but perhaps a few years older or a few years into their course. They can assist you in navigating that more student-focused student area part of the university. There's the access inclusion advisors in each faculty, as well as in the student success team as well. And there's also lots of study workshops that we run throughout the semester for students if they need more support and things like that. So yeah, there's lots of support on offer for the students. And just move to the next one, thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you'd finished. Sorry.
That's all right. So from the more admission side of things, how it works is just like everybody else, you do need to make an application to the university first, and that comes through our team. Now, students on those visas on the previous page are deemed to be international for the purpose of admission. Doesn't mean to say you're international for the purpose of anything else. It's just the way our admission system is set up. So basically, you'll apply as an international student. We'll make the offer to you, and then you can then go and apply for the scholarship subsequently once you have that offer. Applications are open now to apply for semester 1 2023. And so students can also apply for the scholarship now as well if they hold an offer from the university. And if you don't yet, then I definitely encourage you to do so. Applicants will need to be aware that if they are offered a place, the scholarship isn't automatic. Obviously, like everybody else has said, you need to be considered by the panel and the criteria that are set. The cutoff dates for the scholarship are around November, but to accept the scholarship, there isn't exactly a cutoff date. The offer letter does give a week for you to accept, but if you need more time to consider your options or things like that, we can be a lot more flexible with you. So don't worry if you've got a few offers or are weighing up a few different things. The offer letter will say a week on the scholarship offer, but don't worry if you need more time, it's not the end of the world. So this scholarship is actually run by the scholarships team in conjunction with the International Admissions Office. So you can contact the scholarships team for more information on the scholarship and contact my team for more information on the admission side of things. The scholarship applications will close at the end of November this year and are usually awarded around January to February, but mostly January time. So yeah, that's all there is about Notre Dame scholarship. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. That's great. Okay, next up we have Alison Chan from the University of Western Australia, so International Relationships Manager.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Alison from UWA. So just an overview of our humanitarian scholarship, which is called the UWA Humanitarian Swans Scholarship. There is one that is offered for next year's intake. It actually closes next week, so do make sure that you check it out as soon as you can. So the visa categories that we accept, there's two of them, which is subclass 785, which is your temporary protection visa, and subclass 790, which is your safe haven enterprise visa. The conditions for this scholarship is that you do need to be experiencing some financial hardship, and I will go through in the next slide on what that actually means. You do have to be a school leaver, so this is only for undergraduate students. And you would be looking at enrolling full-time in your university study in 2023. So it is 100% tuition fee waiver with a $3,000 per year stipend. The maximum amount will be 8 semesters, which is equivalent to 4 years full-time. So your undergraduate course usually is 3 or 4 years. If your bachelor degree is 3 years and you decide to take the honours year, which is like your 4th year research year, we will also cover the honours year 2, making that 8 semesters in total that you would receive this. Similar to the other universities, the support services are there on the screen. I will probably just highlight a couple. The first one is the international student support. So we do have an international student support team and international student advisors, which will be able to sit with you one-on-one to discuss things like your visa conditions, under 18s, if you are under 18. There's things like wellbeing and counselling services as well. We also do offer your academic skills if you wanted assistance with your English and maths, but also if you even just wanted someone to have a look at your assignments before you hand them in to your professors, we actually have staff available to do that as well. But I'll just go through to the next slide. So the selection criteria for this specific scholarship is really looking at your academic achievement and your educational disadvantage. So the academic achievement is really your ATAR score that we will look at, and then the educational disadvantage includes things like distance to your school right now, the economic disadvantage that you might have, any sorts of cultural differences that you have, responsibilities in terms of, for instance, caring for others, caring for your younger siblings or the elderly or anything like that. That is what we would describe as educational disadvantage. So to apply for the scholarship, it's actually really easy because it's the same portal that you would apply for to get an offer for the university for your course. So you actually would put your profile in the UWA Apply portal. And when you put your application in for the course, once you've done that, you can also in the same portal put your application in for the scholarship. And because you would have already put your application in for the course, everything is pre-filled for you in the scholarship. So all you really need to do is just check that there might be additional questions that you need to answer, but then you would want to attach your documents. So the documents you would want to attach for your scholarship is things like the copy of your visa. You do need evidence of your financial hardship. So for example, if you have any sort of Centrelink benefits like off study or youth allowance, or otherwise if you don't, we would require a statement of your financial hardship. And that's just a one-page statement that you can provide. We would also require a one-page statement of your educational disadvantage that you could upload to your scholarship application too. So you would need to accept this scholarship by January next year. And as I said earlier, the applications for the scholarship itself does close next week. So do make sure that you check that out and put your application in. But that is all from me.
Thanks so much, Alison. Just last for talking about the institution opportunities of Jackie Whelan from Mercy Care is just going to speak briefly about an opportunity at Edith Cowan University that's been recently announced.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so my name's Jackie Whelan. I'm the Employment Liaison Officer at Mercy Care. And as Lisa said, I'm just speaking about a new scholarship that Edith Cowan University is offering for, it's specifically for nurses. So for nurses who have done their bachelor's and qualified overseas from refugee and migrant background, asylum seeker backgrounds, who can then do the one-year adaptation course. There are some requirements. You have to have practiced within the last 5 years. That can have been in a volunteer capacity or in professional employed capacity. You have to have evidence of your studies and a letter from your employer, again, whether it's volunteer or not, to show that you've meet those recency of practice requirements. The other requirement then is the English language requirement. So you have to meet the APRA level in order to be registered as a nurse through APRA, which is the IELTS 7.0 or the PTE 65, score above 65. So if you meet all those requirements, but even if you don't, particularly the English one, because we're working it's an open scholarship, so you can bridge that gap in terms of the English. But if you are a nurse from refugee or asylum seeker backgrounds, so the temporary protection visas, the safe haven visa, or on a bridging visa, then you can reach out to me. And Lisa will put my email and contact details, I think, as well. And we'll go through, I'll go through with you, and we'll look at the documentation and make sure that you meet those requirements, and then you'll be able to apply. We'll send all your documents to ECU, and you'll be able to do the 1-year adaptation course that will then allow you to practice in Australia as a nurse, registered nurse.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, so we'll put some of that information into the email out if we have your details, Jackie, as well. So thank you very much for that, Jackie. It's good timing to be able to talk to that new scholarship. So thank you. So that's all we have for the institutions in Western Australia for some of the opportunities for people who are on temporary visas from refugee and asylum seeking backgrounds. Next, we have the great pleasure of having a student panel of former students or current students who have been able to access some of these scholarships. And we have just a couple of questions to ask and hear about their experiences, and then we will open up for question and answer. But if you do have questions, obviously keep on asking them in the chat, and we're just taking a record of those when they come through, and we can open them up at the end. But I'd love to introduce Pari Rohini, who from Murdoch University, Atava Andave from Curtin University, and Mohammed Majid from Curtin as well. I'm going to ask the first question to Pari, and then Atafa and Mohammed, if you could answer the same question when Pari is finished, and we'll do it in that way. I'm just going to get my questions up on the next piece of paper that I have, which is somewhere. So yeah, Pari, just to start with you, it would be wonderful if you could introduce yourself and just talk about what you're studying currently, and where, so we know a bit about you.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to be part of this panel today, sharing my experience as a student who's on Safe Haven Enterprise visa. I'm Pari, and I'm currently studying Bachelor of Law at Murdoch University.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pari. Atafa, what did you study and where?
Hi, Lisa. I studied explorations of geophysics in Master of Science in Curtin University.
Great, thanks, Atafa.
I had this privilege to be part of this humanitarian group, and had a lot of good lessons and experiments with you guys.
Thanks, Atafa. And Mohammed.
Hello, everyone. Very pleasure to be able to talk today on this event. So my name is Mohammed Majid, and I studied Master of Information Systems and Technology in Curtin University, and I graduated in the year 2017.
That's great. Mohammed was the first person to graduate with this full fee waiving scholarship from Curtin. So, okay, great, thank you. And just go back to Pari. What was your pathway into when you were studying, or what you're studying at Murdoch University? What was your pathway into university, and what kinds of supports did you access when you applied?
So I initially started through a pre-law course, which was an enabling course that goes on for 6 months, and that was the pathway I took to get into Bachelor of Law. I was offered a scholarship for that course at the time, and the support from the student service and the health and well-being part of the university was pretty much needed at that time. So I received those sort of supports.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pari. Atafa, so what was your pathway into university, and what supports did you access?
I actually entered into the
I'm not sure if it's just me, but you're
Curtin, 2016, and so my question is, hello.
Yeah, I think your internet's a little bit. I don't know if it's just me. If anyone else having trouble hearing Atafa?
Hello.
Yeah, I think your internet's cutting out a little bit.
I received an error.
What
What about now? Is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Hopefully. No, sorry, Atafa. I'm not sure what's going on there. It must be a bad connection. Might just go over to Mohammed, and then Atafa will figure out what's going on with you. Gingery I think will be in contact, I'm hoping, or someone.
Okay. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
so what do you want me to do? You want to move on to the
yeah, Atafa, I think what's probably best if you just I'll move on to Mohammed, and I think Gingery might be contacting you just to see what's going on with your connection. That's all, because it keeps on cutting out, so we can't really hear you. So we'll go to Mohammed. Yeah. So Mohammed, yeah, what was your pathway into university, and what supports did you access when you did that?
Yeah, so I came with a bachelor's of telecommunication engineering from Pakistan. Oh, am I good to go?
Yeah, Mohammed, just go. That's all good.
Yeah.
You go.
Okay. So yeah, I came with a degree in telecommunication engineering that I studied as a refugee back in Pakistan. And I wanted to pursue my higher education, being the master's at Curtin University. I was very lucky, and one of those very lucky people on temporary protection or safe haven enterprise visas, that I got the scholarship from Curtin University. As far as the support is concerned, I got every possible support that was required to get through. Especially the support that I got from the scholarship office, because I was completely new to the application procedure, and also the process of applying for the admission as an international student. So all the support that was required was provided by the relevant departments at Curtin University.
Thanks, Mohammed. I can see Atafa's just trying to log in back through her phone. So I think we'll just move on to the next question, and then once Atafa's back in, I'll move back to Atafa. So Pari, you're currently at Murdoch now studying. And you can be completely honest with this is not we're all we're all here to try to make sure that the supports and services and access is much more equitable. So in terms of the support that you have received in your process at Murdoch, do you feel well supported? And what are some of those supports you might have accessed, and what other supports do you think would be really useful to have while you're studying?
Sure. Well, honestly, I have received the supports that I needed the most, which was the health and well-being supports, which Murdoch provides to the students. The international student supports, like they've been pretty responsive in terms of any inquiry that I had, and obviously above all of them, the supports in terms of the scholarship that I have received, because I had to go through a lot to be able to pay for the fees of the courses that I was taking. So those are the supporters that I have received, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with all those supports. So I don't think there would be anything extra that I would want support with. So yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Pari. I can see Atafa, you're back in. How's your connection? Can you just
I'm using my phone now. So
you sound wonderful, very clear.
Okay.
I'll just go back to that the previous question, which I've now lost. I guess it was around how your pathway into university, and what supports did you access when you actually went through that application process, because it obviously can be incredibly confusing, in terms of what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, right. So I've got my undergrad from the country I came from, Iran, which was physics, and I was looking for to extend my knowledge, get the degree that I can find a good job, and but it was very confusing. It was no proper resources or proper, like, it was no one's to help us to just find out. I remember I met Muhammad and other people once in a center called Kara, but it still was nothing clear. So I was introduced with a scholarship through my counselor in forget the name. So she actually, when she found out about I'm very keen to study at university, she was the one that told me there are some scholarships open. Why don't you apply? And on that time, because when we came here, we don't have any passport or anything, and to get to the university, I need to have my English test passed. And they asked for the passport, and it was a lot of difficulties for me to get through all these steps. Still, I couldn't get any assistance from the university because I was not part of the community, so I was not a student there. So I was trying to get help from here and there, like my counselor, I remember I was in touch with you, Lisa, and Caroline for about 2-3 years only by emails. Like, I never met you guys. So I've done the English test, redo it actually. I had one which was expired. So I redo it here, and I applied like international student. And I went through the scholarship center, and still I was very confused about all the process, and it was no one's to guide me. For the first year of the university, even I couldn't find a clear road to just hang on to it. Anyway, after that, I got the chance to be introduced to you guys and see you in person. And then I found out a lot of assistance in the care center that I can have through every difficulties or hardship I have through the study. So Curtin was very good for my last 2 years, final years of the graduations. It offered me a lot of support, which helped me a lot. But as I said at the start, it was very hard and very confusing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine you just coming across all these new systems, and it's confusing enough for I mean, I work at Curtin, and it's confusing enough for me to figure out who to contact at the best of times. So yeah, thank you, Atfa. And I just also wanted to ask, so Mohammed, Atfa, you've kind of touched on a little bit around how well you supported you felt and what kinds of support services you accessed. Mohammed, would you like to share your reflections on that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So being new to a new country, and then not knowing the educational process and how it works, it was very difficult. But I got pretty much every support that was required from Curtin University. The first one was the process of getting the scholarship as an international student. So I got all the support that was required, and the admission office was of great help. Once we got the offer letter, then we had to figure out what exact documents were required, what information I need to put in the statement to be able to successfully being granted the scholarship. And yeah, Susan Lee is the name that I can never forget. She's been a great support, and the prompt emails. We had to meet a tough deadline of 11 days before the deadline, and all the support that I got to get through and get the scholarship was pretty amazing. I still remember everything. So, and then post the grant of the scholarship and thereafter, I was supported with my studies, getting used to this university structure and everything all together. So yeah, every support was available.
Thanks, Mohammed. Okay, I've got a final question here, and there's probably I'm sure there are other questions that other participants or people here, attendees, who would like to ask as well. But just a final question here for all of you is around some of those challenges. And I know that, Atifa in particular has touched on some of those challenges. But Pari, what are some of the challenges that you have faced at university so far? Some of those perhaps barriers or challenges.
Sure. Well, obviously there are challenges when you start, studying in a university. Like for me, it was like I was just new to the university. Of course, I didn't know anyone, and I didn't even know my way around it. So it was that, and also the biggest challenge that I had was the fact that I had to, pay on international fees. I wasn't granted with scholarship from the very beginning, because Murdoch was not offering that at the time. I pretty much started around like 2020, I believe. Murdoch started offering the scholarships just at the beginning of this year. So obviously that was the biggest challenge for me at the time, because I had to work full time to be able to cover the fees that I had to pay for my units. So I only had the chance to take courses online. I didn't know any students, and that was pretty much like a big deal for me, because when I was like stuck, there wasn't sort of anyone that I could go to as like students, because I didn't know anyone. I was just like merely studying online. But obviously, after the humanitarian scholarship was offered, which was like for the past semester that I had, so I had the scholarship, and obviously that was that helped a lot. So I can in fact go to university in person and sort of have that engagement with other students in there and get to know them more and have that actual university experience, which I haven't had in a few years since I started. But yeah, that's pretty much the biggest challenge that I experienced, and thanks God now I have the opportunity to like overcome that challenge.
Thanks, Pari, and I guess that's a massive credit to you to build those networks and contacts with students. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Atifa, you've touched on a couple of the challenges that you faced. Are there any other challenges you wanted to highlight in terms of your experience studying?
Sure, Lisa. So sitting here, like graduated and looking back to what I've been through, I can like saying for people who wants to go to the same journey as I went, I think the biggest challenge is to accept yourself as a refugee with all the problems and traumas that you have. I didn't want to do that. Like I was thinking I'm still the same person as before, but I'm not. So like understanding who you are and all the difficulties that we have in our life, and from different aspects, like not only the family part or financial issues or like being here treated differently, all this part of our life now. So accepting that and getting help for it. So this is that one of my biggest problems. So I was thinking that I'm the same person, which I was not. And once I try to accept the problem I have and look for the solution for it, then I started to, pursue something. But before that, like the first 2 years of my university, I was getting sick. I couldn't know, find a way. I didn't know who should I ask for help. And I think it's only because I didn't want to accept that these are my problems and I have to deal with them and I have to find the right way for it. I think this is the biggest challenge I had, and I wanted like every other person who going to the same journey avoiding it.
Thanks, Atifa. That's such a profound insight and a very personal sharing that we really, really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Mohammed, does the same for you in terms of the challenges, some of the challenges that you faced at university? And again, yours is obviously in hindsight as well, having graduated a number of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So because of the fact that I was one of the very earliest applicants during this process, it was difficult to, first of all, it was difficult to meet the deadlines, you know, so I had only 11 or 12 days to appear in the IELTS test and pass it, and then write the statement for the scholarship application. And after the grant of the scholarship, one of the challenges that was I still remember that, the borrowing books from the library was pretty limited because a lot of other international students would also go and borrow the same book to study and complete a assessment or something. That was something that was very challenging because I did not have a laptop and I had to stay long hours at the library and access all the materials online, and things like that. But I think since there has been a lot of support after that initial process, the new applicants would have a lot of opportunities compared to what I had to face. But I think I can suggest or recommend here, if possible by the universities, to offer a laptop for students who would be in much financial hardships and they can't afford to buy a laptop. That would be of great help. That's what I experienced the most out of that challenges that I can remember.
Thanks, Mohammed, and thanks Atifa and Pari for sharing your, you know, really profound insights. And it's a great opportunity for us all to hear about some of those challenges that you have been facing or did face, in terms of how universities can better respond to, you know, to the challenges that are presented. We do have, so now we have, we've got a bit of time. It is scheduled to finish at 5:30, but I put it necessarily that long in case there was a lot of questions that wanted to be asked. I do have a couple of questions already that I've taken. I've got some written down. So I might just start with something that I've got written down here, and then if others want to write anything in the chat that we can ask as well, particularly of the student panel as well, and because some of the insights they might be able to share for those of you who might be considering applying for a course and so on. But I do have one of the questions that was asked during this session is from Mehdi. I think Mehdi's still online. It was just asking which of the universities have a degree in political science. So this is over to any institution who wants to put their hand up first to talk about any degree that they have in the area of political science. Does anyone want to go first? No? Curtin? Thomas, I can see your hand up. Do you want to go?
I'll go first, no worries. So yeah, Notre Dame does have a degree in political science and international relations. It's under the Bachelor of Arts program, so definitely covered by the scholarship. I myself did that degree at Notre Dame many years ago now, so I can thoroughly recommend if you're interested in a degree of that nature, then yeah, we have a good one here. But I'm quite sure I think every university offers a degree in that field. So yeah, definitely would do your research and look at all the universities, because I think all 5 of us in West Australia offer that type of degree, yeah.
That's right, and it will come down to the kind of the eligibility of the scholarship, Mehdi, of the university that you're looking at as well. Okay, are there any other scholarships? One of the questions I did have for UWA, and it might have come out already, but with the UWA scholarship, Alison, can you be studying part-time and still receive the scholarship?
No, it is for full-time study.
Okay.
Unless there are some sort of special circumstances, then that would be on a case-by-case basis. But you would have to request that once you get awarded the scholarship.
Okay. Thank you, Alison. Jackie, you've got your hand up.
I just wanted to ask a question, Lisa. It's too long to type, so just if it's okay.
No,
I'll ask
sure.
it.
And that's as well, if anyone else wants to just put their hand up instead of typing, just do that as well. That's great.
So I think it was Tom at Notre Dame mentioned that if you no longer meet the requirements of the eligibility in terms of the visas, so say example, you're on a bridging visa and then you're granted a permanent residency protection visa, then you're no longer eligible for the scholarship. And I'm assuming that's because you can access the government support. But what I wanted to know, is that the same for all the scholarships? Yeah, so particularly for those, who are on a bridging visa and then get granted an 866, I think that's who it would mainly apply for. Yeah.
Yeah, I could say from Notre Dame, that's exactly the case. So yes, when applicants or current students, I guess at the time, when they move on to 866, then they pay the domestic fee and all the benefits that come with that. I guess this scholarship covers students because I guess technically for us, they're considered to be international, even though they're not, but they are. So that's why this covers the international fee, because as we know, international fees are very expensive compared to domestic fees. So yeah, with us, if a student did get 866, or even if they got PR or citizenship, whichever happened, then they'd get all the benefits of a domestic student then. So the fees would be a lot less.
Yeah, and do you support them with that transition, just because it can be quite complex?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so the student success team are there to help support the student through that transition if they need assistance with a number of things, definitely. And also we have another fund, which is called the Student Hardship Fund, which students can access if they are suffering from any other type of distress that they need to access. So yeah, we have a lot of different areas students can access, not just this particular scholarship. Obviously, that's why we're here today, but there's many other different support mechanisms that students can use or can pull the levers for if they need to. So yeah.
Sure. Thank you for that.
Did any other institution want to talk to that particular question of whether if a scholarship applicant transitions to a permanent visa, what happens?
Just sorry, based on inexperience here, I'd have to double check that. I believe it would be the same as Notre Dame as well. And again, we do have many equity scholarships available to students. So yeah, we can assist with that transition. And again, those students would most likely have access to the hardship fund as well.
Great. Thank you. I've just got a question here. I can see Amka's your hand is up. If you would like to ask that question, or if you'd like me just to read out the question you put into the chat. Okay, I can see your mute still on, so I might just ask that question if you'd like. Amka's asking which standard of English is needed for study. Guess it's anyone want to go, any institution representative want to speak to that particular question?
I can talk for Murdoch. With the English language, it really depends on what course and what level of study that you're applying for. And it also depends on your previous qualifications. So it's probably, we do have quite an in-depth page for English language and what requirements you need to meet for the different courses, and depending on your different level of qualifications that you're entering university on. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I imagine, Amka, that's probably the case, that would be the case for every institution. So every course would have a particular level of English. So you've written there in the chat that you've got a cert for in EAL at Murdoch TAFE. Don't know if that means anything to any of the institutional representatives here.
Lisa, just Curtin, so as Vicky said, it will depend on the course, but generally speaking, we usually look at 6.0, like an IELTS academic, or 6.5 with no band below 6. There are some courses like undergraduates, like Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Engineering, and Bachelor of Science here at Curtin that they can enter with a 6.0 with no band below 6, but also health sciences, usually they have higher requirements of English. So just as an estimate that it will go from 6.0, an IELTS academic overall, up to 7, or for teaching it's even higher, but just to have an idea.
And just for everyone who's listening, if somebody wanted to know the English level requirements for a particular course, is this something that, I guess, for every institution to find online, or is there, the contact details? Which is the best way for people to find out?
Usually it's on the website, at least for Curtin. So you will have under each course the English requirement. And if the student doesn't meet the requirement, we all have pathways, English pathways to meet the requirement and to help the student to be up to the level of the course.
Does any other institutional rep want to speak?
I might just quickly also add that I can see you're doing a Cert 4 currently at Murdoch TAFE. Some universities might be able to accept that for English. UWA can accept the diploma to meet English. So if you are thinking of doing the Cert 4 and then doing a diploma in EAL, we actually can accept that to meet English as well. But as everyone said, there are multiple ways of meeting English to each university. So the best thing is to contact your university that you're interested in, let them know what course you're interested in and what you've done previously. So for instance, let them know that you've done the Certificate 4, and we can come up with all the different options available for you, just so you know that it's a really tailored answer specifically for your situation as well.
Thanks, Alison. And the question here, following on from the discussion around English, Hussein's asked, how does university help improve English once you're, I guess, I'm assuming once you kind of admitted it, what kinds of supports might be available? If anyone wants to go first.
I can go first. So at the University of Western Australia, there are multiple ways to improve your English. The first one is through more of a formal skills training. So if you wanted to join what we call our LACE program, which is our Language and Communication Essentials, and that is where you actually will have tutors there to help you through your English. But we also recommend the informal support services that we have. So for instance, we do also have things like global ambassadors, where we'll pair you with a native English speaker, so you can practice your English skills, like conversational English skills, all of that sort of thing, you will be able to access as well. So my recommendation for everyone is to make sure that you access all of the services of the university that you can, because that is really what the university support services are there for, is to really support students to be successful at university, but to also have that student experience. So definitely have a look at all of the experiences across the universities.
Thanks, Alison. Did anyone else want to speak to that particular point?
I think that it's really important that what Alison mentioned, and we always encourage students to use all the services that the university has. Here at Curtin, once the student commences their course, we have services run by the faculty. So sometimes the faculties assist the students with English, but also the English is focused on the study field. So if they are science and engineering, they will be seeing those kind of vocabulary that will help them in their studies. And also we do have central services helping in general with other language skills or assessment and assignment skills that will help them as well in their academic delivery. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add for Notre Dame as well, very similar. Again, if you need English support, of course, we can assist through, like Alison said, we have formal means to go around that as well. But if you actually enter the course but feel that perhaps the workload is a bit hard or a bit challenging, we have the student success team that can provide sort of one-on-one tutoring, I suppose, with you to help you sort of overcome any difficulties that you might face. So yeah, there's plenty of support, I think, at every uni in terms of this area. So yeah, all you have to do is ask the questions, and I think the universities can help you. That's the main thing, I guess.
Thanks, Tom. I don't know if Adif is still there, but I can't see it. One of the kind of the challenges that she highlighted when she was talking around just not knowing what supports are available. And I guess those of you that are thinking about applying, and thinking about some of the challenges you may face if you're admitted and studying, it is about, you know, asking those questions to people. And you have now a list of potential contacts that you can now contact and ask those questions. There are lots of people at universities who are, you know, really wanting to help out and ensure that, like as Alison was saying, to kind of thrive. But I think the hard thing is really knowing that those supports exist. And I guess the responsibility for us at universities is to really make sure that new students do know they exist. And that's the challenge that we have. But if you are applying, that there are supports available, and it's just you know, trying not to be shy to ask those questions to people. Okay, so I can see Azine has just asked Alison around whether the UWA scholarships are only for undergraduates, and that's the case. I'm pretty sure it's not for postgraduates. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alison.
You're correct. So it
Yep.
is only for undergraduates at this time. Thanks.
No worries. And there's a question here around, can I be accepted if I already have a bachelor degree from a Ukrainian university? This is for anybody, any institution.
Is the question accepted for a scholarship or accepted for a course?
Not sure. Evagina, did you want to clarify that question? So you've asked the question of whether you can be accepted if you already have a bachelor degree from Ukrainian university. Is that in regards to applying for a scholarship or a course, or both?
She just responded scholarship.
Cool. Scholarship. There you go. So scholarship people, what's your response to that?
I'll just go first. So for UWA, it really is, regardless of your background, it's really the visa that you are currently on. So currently the only visas we are accepting are the safe haven visa and then the protection visa. I think that's the other one. Yeah, 780. Yeah.
And yeah, just to piggyback off you, Alison, that's correct. So yeah, we're just looking at the visa. As long as you meet your course entry requirements and you do receive a course offer, that does not mean you're eligible for the scholarship.
Just to jump on from Murdoch's perspective as well, we would always encourage everybody to apply, because obviously the award is based on a case-by-case and an assessment process, but we certainly wouldn't discourage you to apply if you've already got an award, especially as for our asylum seeker and refugee scholarship, we award it to postgraduate students as well.
Great. Thank you. Another question here from Ampikar. I'm interested in studying nursing field. If I study, which is the time to provide my PTE score? I don't know what a PTE score, so I can't help you out. Does anyone be able to speak to that?
I guess me and Vicky can. So basically, it's the English language test that you need to enter nursing and many other courses. So that usually, I mean, most of the time it would come at the time of your full offer, I suppose. I guess you can be made a conditional offer if you don't have the PTE. But for nursing, it's quite strict. It's a 65 in all bands and 65 overall. So normally a uni would probably make you a conditional offer if you haven't sat that test yet, or a full offer if you can provide that that score. I guess for Notre Dame, you can still apply for the scholarship with a conditional offer. But obviously you'd have to meet the conditions before you can be awarded the scholarship. But I would say mostly the uni would let you know when that English language test is needed to be provided for your admission. So I'd just say check with each university when you apply, and they'll let you know.
Yeah, at Curtin, it will depend on the nursing course that you want. There are 3 different courses, bachelor and master. So usually for master, you will need to have the English before applying because it's a really competitive course. So you need to meet the English before they assess your application to enter the course. And then for the bachelor, it will depend on the stream that you go. I'm happy if you want to send me an email and I can give you more information and specific about the English and when to submit the English with your application.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same with Murdoch as well, because we have a quoted course and it's quite competitive. It sort of depends on when you apply. If there are a lot of positions available, you could get a conditional offer, but it sort of depends. So if there's not very many places left and you didn't have your English already, then you might not get a place.
Great. Thank you. Feel free for anyone else to ask questions. Put your hand up as well if you prefer to ask the question through your voice. I have one question here around, and I think this is in relation to kind of the scholarships, and I guess it depends on the particular scholarship, but around financial hardship. So if somebody's got a family and they're working, they might have more money than somebody who may be not working or have a family. How is that kind of, I'm just interpreting this question. So how is that considered when somebody's applying for a scholarship that they might have a family that they're trying to support, for example, compared to somebody who might not have that particular situation?
Happy to jump on that one. So we do take into consideration how many dependents you do have and whether or not you're partnered. And there's also a portion in the application when you can provide that particular reasoning that you do have to work, say, full-time to support a family of, how many dependents. So we do take that into consideration. So you're not penalised for that. You won't necessarily rank lower. We do look at the full picture.
Thanks, Carissa. Anybody else that wanted to speak to that particular question?
Yeah, I'll jump in. For Murdoch, we as part of our application process, we have a personal statement component, and one of the questions we ask there is if there's any barriers, financial or otherwise, that this scholarship would assist you in your kind of your studying success. And that's when we would encourage students to include any sort of family dynamics or personal sort of financial or otherwise hardships that would help support the application. And we certainly take our personal statements into great consideration when assessing our applications.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Is anyone, any other questions that anybody feels like asking? If you'd like to type in there or put your hand up. I'm just making sure that I've answered I've asked all the questions that have been asked. No. Azine, I think you have your hand up. Did you want to ask your question? Azine, your hand's up.
Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. My question is this, what if you've been offered a place at a uni, or like if you've been given an offer letter and you need to accept the admission, but you've not applied for the scholarship yet, and the time frame for the acceptance of the offer is quite close. Like, how would you go about that? Sorry, do you get my question? Like, you've been offered a place. Okay, go ahead.
So I think you, Thomas.
Yeah, I understand the question. So if you are going to apply for the scholarship, just let the university know who who has issued you the offer, just in case perhaps they weren't aware at the time of the offer that you were going to apply for the scholarship. So for example, if you did have an offer from Notre Dame and we didn't know, we may put a date which doesn't coincide with the scholarship date. So if that is the case with any other university, just let the admissions team know, and they can perhaps revise the date and assist you in applying for the scholarship and things like that. So I guess it's just communicating with the admissions department that you're going to apply for the scholarship, and that perhaps the acceptance date might need to be changed, is what I would say.
Oh yeah, you answered my question. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Did anyone else want to speak to that particular question, or is it very similar for the other institutions
Very
as well?
similar.
Yep. Okay, great. We've probably got time for one more question if anyone has one. If anyone feels comfortable putting their hand up. Ambika, you still have your hand up, but I think that might be from a previous question. But if you do have a question, feel free to ask it. Otherwise, I can't see any other questions there for anyone that's been asked. So I might just, I might just start wrapping it up then. Excuse me. So thank you everybody for being here today and for who was attending, and also our presenters. Excuse me. The presenters who have been taking the time to talk today, particularly the student panel. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And also a big thank you to Gindri De Silvia, who is the RESIG secretary and who is amazing, has done so much work pulling all of this together. So thank you so much for that. There are a number of other, for those of you who are not just bound by being in WA, there are a number of other similar expos that have been held in New South Wales and Victoria that if you want to attend those, they are also online. I'm just getting the links up now. And I'm going to share that in the chat if anyone wants to. Oh, it's already there. Look at you. See, Gindri, you're amazing. It's already in chat. So she's already got that through. So if anyone wants to register, the New South Wales Expo is tomorrow, and then the Victorian Expo is in August, the 23rd. The slides, so this is obviously being recorded, so we will release this recording for other people who weren't able to make it, and the slides also will be made available after the event. They'll be emailed to all of the attendees, so if you're looking for those links that you would like to click on for all of the scholarships and applications. But if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact the Refugee Special Interest Group there on the web, on the slide there, and also just check out our website as well. And yeah, thank you. I don't know if I've forgotten anything. If I have, let me know. Unmute yourself. But thank you so much to everybody for coming today, and yeah, for participating. Thank you.